In the silence of ancient deserts, beneath millennia of shifting sands, voices rise from the earth, not spoken, but inscribed. Etched in soft clay and fired by time, the Sumerian tablets whisper secrets from humanity's first civilization. They speak of gods and kings, stars and numbers, medicine and myth. But what if they speak of more? Could these fragile slabs of earth hold echoes of forgotten technologies, cosmic visitors, or wisdom lost to the ages? Today, we journey into the cradle of civilization, to a time before history had memory, and decode the messages left behind by the scribes of Sumer. Are we reading mere myths, or rediscovering ancient machines cloaked in clay? In the land once known as Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, a profound transformation unfolded nearly 6,000 years ago. Between the Tigris and Euphrates, in what is now southern Iraq, the world's first urban civilization arose. It was here, in the alluvial plains of Sumer, that humanity took its first organized steps into the realm of recorded history, science, and complex society. The Sumerians were not merely farmers or builders, they were civilizational pioneers. Around 4000 BCE, they began to cultivate not just crops, but ideas. They developed irrigation systems to tame the fickle rivers, constructed cities from sun-dried brick, and raised monumental temples known as ziggurats, terraced towers reaching toward the heavens. At the heart of every city was the temple complex, a place not just of worship but of learning, administration, and observation of the stars. Cities like Uruk, Eridu, Lagash, and Ur were among the first real urban centers in human history. These were not mere clusters of dwellings, but vibrant metropolises housing tens of thousands of people. They had laws, social hierarchies, trade networks, and surprisingly sophisticated economies. The Sumerians invented the wheel, pioneered metalworking, and may have created the first formal education systems. But with complexity came a new need, the need to record. Oral tradition alone could not sustain a growing economy or an expanding state. Barley rations, land ownership, livestock counts, religious offerings, court judgments, all required documentation. Out of this necessity was born one of humanity's most important inventions: writing. Around 3200 BCE, the Sumerians developed cuneiform, a writing system using wedge-shaped impressions pressed into soft clay tablets with a stylus. This seemingly simple innovation marked a revolutionary leap. For the first time in history, human thought could be preserved independent of the speaker. Knowledge could outlive its creators. Ideas could spread across generations. The earliest tablets were utilitarian, records of trade and storage, administrative lists, and tax receipts. But over time, the tablets evolved. They came to record prayers, myths, astronomical observations, medical instructions, and philosophical reflections. They grew not only in number, but in depth. These were not merely bookkeeping tools. They were repositories of the Sumerian mind. Today, archaeologists have unearthed hundreds of thousands of these clay tablets. Many remain unread, their symbols still silent. Others, translated painstakingly over decades, have revealed a civilization of startling intelligence, imagination, and mystery. Yet as we peer deeper into these ancient texts, a profound question arises. Were the Sumerians simply recording their daily lives? Or were they encoding knowledge beyond their time? Could these tablets, some argue, preserve not just the mundane and the mythic, but blueprints of ancient technologies or memories of cosmic encounters? In the beginning, however, there was clay, and from it, civilization was born. The Sumerians built not only cities and temples, but an intellectual legacy that still shapes our world today. Their story begins not with conquest, but with curiosity. And their tablets may still hold secrets we are only beginning to understand. Once hardened in fire and time, the Sumerian tablets became immortal messengers, silent until rediscovered, then echoing across millennia. To modern eyes, they appear simple, flat or pillow-shaped pieces of baked clay, marked with wedge-like strokes in neat rhythmic patterns. But to those who have deciphered them, they are volumes of civilization, each bearing testimony to the world's first recorded thoughts. The earliest tablets, dating from around 3200 BCE, primarily served economic and administrative functions. They logged harvests and temple offerings, listed rations for workers, and recorded trade agreements. Yet even in their pragmatism, there was something revolutionary: the abstraction of thought into symbols, the permanence of record. Over time, writing transcended its bureaucratic roots. In the clay libraries of cities like Nippur, Ur, and Nineveh, scribes began to copy not just inventories, but myths, hymns, omens, laws, and medical recipes. Through them, a sophisticated worldview emerged, where gods shaped destinies, stars foretold events, and human life was bound to divine order. One of the most extraordinary literary works to survive from this ancient corpus is the Epic of Gilgamesh. Written in Akkadian but derived from Sumerian prototypes, it chronicles the exploits of Gilgamesh, the semi-divine king of Uruk. It speaks of friendship, tyranny, grief, and the search for immortality. In one haunting passage, Gilgamesh meets Utnapishtim, a man who survived a great flood sent by the gods, a story that echoes the biblical tale of Noah. Was this myth pure allegory or the cultural memory of an actual ancient deluge? Some scholars believe the story reflects a real Mesopotamian flood, perhaps caused by rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. Others see symbolic meaning, a tale of renewal, of human limits, and of divine justice. Still, more speculative voices suggest the tablets preserve something more, an account of cosmic intervention or lost knowledge disguised in narrative. Beyond mythology, Sumerian tablets also contain texts that puzzle modern readers with their apparent precision. Astronomical tablets, such as the Mul Apin series, catalog star constellations, planetary cycles, and eclipse predictions with unexpected accuracy. They describe Venus's movements in ways that suggest long-term observation and sophisticated recording methods. Could such knowledge be the result of pure empirical tracking, or was it informed by a deeper, perhaps lost, understanding of celestial mechanics? In other tablets, we find references to the Anunnaki, a pantheon of powerful beings who descended from the heavens. In many stories, they create humans to serve them, teach civilization, and sometimes intercede in human affairs. While mainstream scholars interpret these deities as mythic symbols or personifications of natural forces, some alternative theorists view them differently, as ancient astronauts, misunderstood by early man and deified in narrative. These interpretations, though controversial, have added fuel to the modern mystique surrounding Sumerian texts. Especially provocative are the references to mysterious items, like the Mi tablets, divine decrees or powers bestowed by the gods, each governing aspects of civilization such as truth, craftsmanship, music, and kingship. Some see these as abstract principles. Others suggest they might represent lost technologies, tools of social engineering, consciousness manipulation, or encoded algorithms beyond our current understanding. Consider also the Tablet of Enki and the World Order, which outlines the organization of the cosmos and the assignment of duties to gods and cities. It's not merely a myth. It reads like a bureaucratic document of cosmic design. Is this poetic theology, or a metaphor for systems engineering in a symbolic language? Yet even the most literal interpretations of these tablets reveal a society deeply invested in order, law, and knowledge. In the Code of Ur-Nammu, one of the oldest known law codes, predating Hammurabi's by centuries, we see justice systematized. Penalties are measured, crimes are defined. It is not divine wrath that determines punishment, but civic principle, an extraordinary insight into the administrative mind of early humanity. In temple libraries, some tablets even served as textbooks. Scribes in training copied proverbs, vocabulary lists, and dialogues. They practiced not just writing, but the transmission of ideas. Education was structured, and literacy, though limited to elites, was considered a path to wisdom and societal advancement. So, the tablets speak, but in many voices. They speak in ledgers and laws, hymns and healing spells, star maps and stories. And in their many tongues, they reveal a people deeply attuned to both the practical and the transcendent. Are these merely the echoing records of a brilliant but earthly civilization? Or is there a hidden code beneath the surface? An encrypted legacy of forgotten science, or encounters we can barely comprehend? We cannot say for certain, but what is clear is that these tablets are more than relics. They are the operating system of the world's first great society, written not on parchment or screen, but in the humble medium of clay. And though they may have been silent for millennia, today they speak again. The Sumerians were among the first astronomers. Long before telescopes or modern physics, they tracked the movements of stars and planets with meticulous care. Cuneiform tablets such as Mul-Apin offer detailed celestial charts, identifying constellations, plotting lunar phases, and even predicting eclipses. They recorded the paths of Venus and Jupiter over long cycles, noting their risings and settings with mathematical precision.
One famous example is the Venus tablet of Ammisaduqa, a Babylonian copy of earlier Sumerian observations. It records the appearance and disappearance of Venus in the sky across a 21-year period. Such data required generations of observation, indicating a systematic, long-term tradition of stargazing. But there are even more curious aspects. Some tablets refer to a celestial body named Nibiru, often described as the planet of the crossing. While mainstream scholars interpret Nibiru symbolically or mythologically, some researchers, like Zecharia Sitchin, have argued it describes a real, unidentified planet with a long elliptical orbit, perhaps entering the solar system only every few thousand years. Though this view is rejected by professional astronomers, the mystery of Nibiru lingers in alternative history circles. Additionally, there are claims that the Sumerians knew of all planets in the solar system, including Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, despite these being invisible to the naked eye. Some point to cylinder seals, such as the VA-243, which allegedly depict a sun seen surrounded by 11 celestial bodies. While most experts dismiss this interpretation as speculative or incorrect, the image continues to fuel theories about lost astronomical knowledge. Mathematics was central to Sumerian culture. Unlike our base 10 decimal system, the Sumerians used a sexagesimal system, based on the number 60. This system still echoes in our modern world. 60 seconds in a minute, 360 degrees in a circle, 12 hours in a day, day and night. Sumerian scribes could perform complex calculations using this system, including multiplication, division, reciprocals, square and cube roots. One particularly fascinating tablet, Plimpton 322, dating to around 1800 BCE, appears to contain a list of Pythagorean triples, integer solutions to the equation a2 plus b2 equals c2. This discovery caused a stir among historians of mathematics, since it predates Pythagoras by over 1,000 years. Some scholars argue that Plimpton 322 is evidence of an advanced understanding of trigonometry, perhaps used in architecture, astronomy, or surveying. If true, it would mean that the Sumerians had developed a form of applied geometry centuries before the Greeks formalized it. The tablet also demonstrates a structured approach to mathematical reasoning, suggesting not just utility, but theory. Where did this knowledge come from? Was it developed independently by careful experimentation, or passed down from a now lost scientific tradition? The Sumerians were master builders. Their ziggurats, massive temple towers rising in stepped layers, were feats of engineering that required precise planning, measurements, and logistics. Though built of mud brick, many ziggurats have foundations still intact today, bearing witness to their durability and ingenuity. Some researchers point to possible knowledge of resonance, vibration, or geometric alignment in temple construction, drawing parallels to structures in Egypt and Mesoamerica. While many such claims are speculative, it is undeniable that Sumerian architecture reflects an advanced understanding of mass, symmetry, and design. Moreover, the Eridu Genesis tablet mentions the antediluvian, pre-flood cities being designed by plan. This could indicate a structured urban blueprint, not just organic growth, an intentional, engineered civilization. Medical tablets from the Sumerian period reveal treatments for wounds, fevers, infections, and even psychiatric symptoms. While often couched in spiritual language, blaming demons or divine displeasure, some of the remedies are strikingly rational. For instance, texts describe wound cleaning with beer and water, an antiseptic mix, the use of clay and herbs for inflammation, and even instructions for dental treatments. One tablet details a case of a toothworm causing decay, a mistaken but symbolic explanation that shows observation of toothaches and rot. Medical knowledge was closely linked to ritual, but it wasn't entirely magical. Diagnosis and prescription were formalized. There were classes of doctors, ASU, practitioners using drugs and surgery, and ashipu, priest healers using incantations. This division hints at an early understanding of the psychosomatic nature of health, what we today might call holistic medicine. Legal codes like the Code of Ur-Nammu and later the Code of Lipit-Ishtar were not simply arbitrary rules. They were structured systems of behavior that mirrored if-then logic. If a man steals a goat, he shall repay it fivefold. If a woman leaves her husband and takes another, she shall be stoned. Such codes are early examples of conditional reasoning, a foundational concept in computer programming and legal logic alike. They show us that the Sumerians didn't just react to the world emotionally. They tried to codify cause and effect, creating societal algorithms that balanced order and consequence. The structure of Sumerian writing itself displays a complexity often overlooked. Cuneiform signs evolved over time from pictographs to abstract phonetic components. Scribes were trained to master thousands of symbols and their many combinations. There were homonyms, determinatives, and ideograms, a rich information system blending sound, symbol, and meaning. Could this system encode more than we realize? Some researchers have proposed that Sumerian writing contains multiple layers of interpretation, literal, poetic, and perhaps even technical. Others wonder if advanced data, astronomical cycles, geometrics, or genetic information could be hidden in mythological metaphors. While such claims are hard to prove, what is certain is that Sumerian writing was not simplistic. It was a dynamic, evolving code, capable of preserving ideas across space and time. Central to many alternative interpretations is the figure of the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. According to Sumerian mythology, these divine beings are said to have created humanity and imparted knowledge to early civilizations. In myth, the Anunnaki were powerful gods who controlled fate, built cities, and decreed the laws of nature. But could these gods be more than allegory? The ancient astronaut theory, popularized by writers like Zecharia Sitchin, argues that the Anunnaki were in fact advanced extraterrestrial visitors who genetically engineered humans to mine gold, their precious resource. Sitchin's controversial translations of Sumerian tablets claim they describe spacecraft, advanced machinery, and scientific processes disguised as divine acts. While mainstream academia largely dismisses these ideas as pseudo-archaeology, the appeal of this theory lies in the tantalizing possibility that myths encode misunderstood historical events, encounters with beings whose technology seemed godlike to early humans. Sumerian art and artifacts have also fueled speculation about ancient technology. On cylinder seals and reliefs, we see depictions of winged figures wearing helmet-like headgear, holding objects resembling bags, tools, or instruments. Some interpret these handbags as symbolic vessels of power. Others imagine them as portable technology or energy sources. Certain tablets speak cryptically of the Me, divine powers or decrees that govern civilization's functions, everything from kingship and justice to crafts and music. Could the Me represent intangible technologies, social engineering codes, or even information protocols? Moreover, some argue that descriptions of flying chariots or boats of the gods could be references to ancient aircraft or vehicles. While most archaeologists view these as poetic imagery, symbolic of divine transcendence or spiritual journeys, they remain a source of intrigue. Many scholars emphasize the rich use of metaphor and allegory in Sumerian literature. Gods often personify natural forces. Enlil, the god of wind and storm. Enki, god of water and wisdom. Ninhursag, goddess of the earth. The cosmic order described in tablets like the Enuma Elish can be seen as an early attempt to explain creation and natural laws through mythic narrative. The risk of taking these texts literally is projecting modern scientific understanding backward onto ancient stories. Ancient people used symbolic language to express complex ideas, often blending spiritual and empirical knowledge in ways unfamiliar to us. For example, references to gods descending from the sky could describe meteor showers, astronomical events, or simply the transcendence of spiritual beings. Likewise, the Tablet of Destinies granting cosmic power is likely a metaphor for divine authority, rather than a literal device. Another possibility is that the Sumerian tablets preserve fragments of knowledge lost through time. Some researchers suggest that catastrophic events, floods, invasions, cultural collapses, erased earlier advanced civilizations, leaving only cryptic memories in myth and scripture. If such a civilization existed, its science and technology might have been encoded in metaphor to survive cultural shifts or to protect sacred knowledge. The Sumerians, inheriting these stories, may have recorded them without fully understanding their original meaning. This idea raises a profound question. Might some myths be encoded archives of an ancient technology, accessible only when the right keys of interpretation are applied?
The majority of archaeologists and historians caution against literal or fantastical readings of the tablets. They emphasize rigorous linguistic analysis, archaeological context, and cross-cultural comparison to ground interpretations in evidence. The Sumerians, like all ancient peoples, used myth to understand their world. Stories that guided moral conduct, explained natural phenomena, and legitimized political power. Their tablets reflect this worldview, a mix of observation, imagination, and spiritual insight. Yet this does not diminish their significance. Whether mythic or technical, these texts are an unparalleled record of human thought at the dawn of history. Could it be that myth and technology are not mutually exclusive? Perhaps the ancient mind did not separate science and spirituality as we do today. What we call myth might be a language crafted to encode complex knowledge, accessible only through symbols and stories. As we decode the tablets, we stand at the crossroads of these interpretations, invited to honor the mystery as well as the facts. The Sumerian tablets beckon us not just to ask what they say, but how and why they say it. In this intersection lies the true wonder of the Sumerian legacy. A civilization that dared to record its knowledge, its dreams, and its gods, forever inscribed on humble clay. Sumerian is a language isolate, meaning it has no known relatives, which makes its study uniquely difficult. The cuneiform script itself evolved over centuries, growing more abstract and complex. A single sign could have multiple meanings depending on context, pronunciation, or accompanying determinatives. For decades, scholars painstakingly learned to read and interpret these tablets. Early translations were often tentative, occasionally speculative, as experts struggled to grasp idioms, cultural references, and symbolic nuance. Moreover, many tablets are fragmentary or damaged. Missing pieces can obscure entire sections of text, forcing translators to reconstruct narratives from incomplete clues. This leaves room for debate, and sometimes disagreement, about the true meaning behind the words. The tablets often operate on multiple levels simultaneously. A mythic story could be a moral lesson, a political manifesto, an astronomical guide, or all three at once. Religious texts mix theology with practical instruction. Legal codes intertwine morality, governance, and social contract. For example, the Epic of Gilgamesh is both an adventure story and a meditation on human mortality. The celestial tablets combine poetic imagery with precise astronomical data. Understanding this layering is key to unlocking the tablet's messages. To read them literally risks missing symbolic truths. To read them only metaphorically might overlook practical information encoded within. Today, new tools assist in decoding these ancient artifacts. Digital imaging and 3D scanning allow detailed examination without damaging fragile tablets. The Cuneiform Digital Library Initiative, CDLI, is creating an online archive of tens of thousands of tablets, making their content accessible to researchers worldwide. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are being explored to recognize patterns, identify sign variations, and even predict missing text. These technologies offer hope that mysteries long sealed in clay may finally yield their secrets. Additionally, interdisciplinary studies combining linguistics, archaeology, astronomy, and anthropology help contextualize the tablet's contents within the broader human story. The Sumerian civilization did not exist in isolation. Their neighbors, the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, adopted and adapted their writing, myths, and knowledge. Similar stories appear in Egyptian, Hittite, and even Hebrew traditions, showing a web of cultural exchange. By comparing these sources, scholars can corroborate translations and identify common themes. Such cross-cultural study reveals how ancient peoples shared knowledge, reshaped myths, and advanced civilization together. Despite advances, fundamental questions remain. Are some tablets describing technologies that we have yet to rediscover or fully understand? Do mythic references contain allegories for lost scientific knowledge? Or are we projecting modern ideas onto ancient symbols? The Sumerian tablets invite us to wonder about the origins of human knowledge and the possibilities lost to time. They remind us that history is not static, but a living dialogue between past and present, fact and interpretation. Above all, the tablets reflect human curiosity and creativity at its dawn. They embody the desire to understand the world, to order society, to seek meaning in the stars and in our own lives. Decoding the mystery of the Sumerian tablets is more than an academic exercise. It is a journey into the roots of civilization itself, a chance to glimpse the first chapters of humanity's shared story. As we continue to unlock their secrets, we reconnect with the voices of those ancient scribes who shaped not only clay, but the very foundations of history. Archaeological excavations throughout the 19th and 20th centuries revealed thousands of cuneiform tablets, often in ancient library ruins such as those of the Assyrian capital Nineveh or the Sumerian city of Ur. These discoveries transformed our understanding of early civilization, revealing a sophisticated culture of writing, governance, religion, and science. Yet much of the Sumerian knowledge remains fragmented. Many tablets are damaged or unreadable, waiting for future breakthroughs in preservation and interpretation. Digital technology has breathed new life into this work, allowing global access and advanced analysis. The collaboration between ancient wisdom and modern technology is reshaping how we explore these tablets. High-resolution 3D scans capture surface details invisible to the naked eye, while machine learning algorithms identify patterns and decipher script variants. This fusion accelerates translation efforts and opens new avenues for understanding Sumerian mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. In some cases, researchers are uncovering forgotten algorithms and computational methods embedded in the tablets, early forms of data management and predictive science. The rediscovery of Sumerian knowledge is not just academic, it has practical implications today. Concepts such as base 60 mathematics influence modern timekeeping and navigation. Early astronomical records inform historical climate models and planetary science. Furthermore, Sumerian approaches to urban planning, water management, and social organization offer lessons for contemporary challenges. As we face environmental crises and social complexity, ancient solutions may hold valuable clues. The notion that advanced knowledge could be lost and later rediscovered raises profound questions about history's fragility. Catastrophes such as floods, invasions, or societal collapse may have erased entire epochs of human progress, forcing new generations to rebuild from scratch. Some theorists propose that the Sumerians themselves inherited wisdom from earlier, now-lost civilizations. If true, their tablets are not just records of their own time, but echoes of a deeper, more ancient heritage. Rediscovering Sumerian knowledge invites us to rethink the flow of history, not as a simple linear progression, but as a complex tapestry of gains, losses, and reinventions. It reminds us that human ingenuity is a continuous thread, woven through countless generations. The tablets challenge us to preserve our own knowledge carefully and to remain curious about the origins of the ideas we take for granted. Ultimately, the story of the Sumerian tablets is a story of curiosity, the spark that drives human civilization forward. By decoding these ancient texts, we join a long chain of seekers, bridging thousands of years to better understand ourselves and the universe. Whether these tablets hold secrets of ancient technology or profound myth, their true power lies in inspiring new questions. And through those questions, new discoveries. The tablets recount tales of gods and kings, laws and labors, sickness and healing, universal themes that resonate deeply across the millennia. The concerns of the Sumerians were not so different from our own. They sought justice, understood the fragility of life, marveled at the stars, and pondered the mysteries of existence. Their myths grapple with mortality and the search for immortality, themes that remain central to human culture today. The Epic of Gilgamesh's exploration of loss, friendship, and the inevitability of death speaks to us as profoundly now as it did thousands of years ago. The Sumerians invented writing, mathematics, astronomy, and law, marking the transition from prehistory to history. These achievements reflect the uniquely human drive to organize the world, to communicate across generations, and to understand our place in the cosmos. Their tablets reveal the birth of complex thought, abstraction, symbolism, systematization that underpins all later knowledge. They were the first architects of human civilization's intellectual framework. Yet the tablets also remind us how fragile knowledge can be. Much of what the Sumerians created was lost, forgotten, or obscured. This loss teaches us humility. No civilization is immune to time's erasure, no technology guaranteed permanence. In this sense, the tablets challenge us to reflect on our own legacy. How will future generations interpret the knowledge we leave behind? What truths and myths will survive?
The allure of ancient technology or myth is also a reflection of our modern identity. We are fascinated by the unknown, drawn to mysteries that connect us to a deeper human story. The tablets encourage us to bridge past and present, to learn from ancient wisdom while acknowledging our own biases and limitations. In decoding their meaning, we engage in a dialogue across ages, a conversation that reveals as much about us as about the Sumerians. Ultimately, the Sumerian tablets stand as testament to a shared human journey. They connect us to our earliest ancestors, who dreamed, calculated, and believed as we do. Whether their stories tell of divine technology or poetic myth, they remind us that all humans seek knowledge, meaning, and connection. In their quiet clay, the Sumerians continue to speak, not just about themselves, but about the enduring nature of humanity itself. Across the ages, the fragile clay tablets of Sumer have withstood the tests of time, silence, and dust to speak once more. They are echoes, faint but persistent, of humanity's earliest attempts to understand itself and the universe. Whether we interpret them as records of ancient technology, mythic allegory, or something in between, their significance is undeniable. The Sumerian tablets are more than historical artifacts. They are a bridge linking us to a world where the first sparks of civilization flickered to life. They reveal a people who pondered the stars, devised systems to measure and govern, and told stories to make sense of their place in the cosmos. In grappling with these ancient texts, we are reminded that knowledge is a living current, shaped by observation, imagination, and the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. The tablets teach us that the quest for meaning and understanding is a thread woven through human history, connecting us to those who came before. As we continue to decode, explore, and question, the Sumerian legacy endures, inviting each new generation to listen closely, to wonder deeply, and to cherish the profound story etched in clay.